Hello and welcome to the FEZ Show. It is the 13th of May, 2020, and this is our 25th show of the FEZ Show. And somehow we've made it through with nothing really to talk about over these 25 shows. If you've been enjoying watching us idiots talk about Formula E, we absolutely love you. It has been great to see the community growing around this on our Discord channel, which, you can come join the fun. There should be a link below and you can click and come and join the fun. But joining me on the show to celebrate our 25th show is Jack Pickering and Edward Hunter. Morning, boys.
Good morning. Yeah, it's great that we've been going for 25 shows. So cheers to that. And yeah, I'll put my collection of ciders back up there. I would have loved. Well, I was planning to go to Rotterdam today, but obviously that can't happen. So yeah, happy to be here instead.
That isn't an freshly opened brew.
No. I had it last night. I've just left it up there.
Yeah, no.
I just left it up there from last night. Don't worry.
Oh, fair play. I thought, man, that's
about 20.
He's like, it's the 25th show. Wait, let me just get my collection out. Let's start.
No, I'll show you the collection after we get off air. But yeah.
Don't let me interrupt. I'm apparently an idiot, so yeah, what I say doesn't matter.
We're all idiots. What the hell are we talking about? We're talking about Formula E, trying to, obviously create content for people to watch, enjoy over this coronavirus pandemic. I can't believe we've done 25. Obviously, we've been going now for over a month, so it's pretty decent. I think, and we've had we've had so much great feedback. Like, so many people have enjoyed the shows. As I said, it was great. The community's grown on Discord, and people enjoying the content, which is great. And I love that. And as I said, we love you for it. So what we're going to talk about today is Nelson Piquet Jr. because our friends at Inside Electric did a great interview on him, and we're just going to dissect a little bit of it because there was a little bit that he said was quite interesting. And it sort of links actually to an interview we did with Oliver Turvey quite recently, which will come out in a magazine further down the line. But what Piquet said, which was interesting, he said it was a mistake staying at Next TV for as long as he did. And I thought that was interesting. And the main thing, Jack, that kept him there was loyalty. And when we spoke to Oliver Turvey and we asked him, what is one of the main reasons why you've stayed at Neo since the end of season 1 to now? And he said loyalty. And, you might want to question those loyalties. And maybe Nelson Piquet Jr., Jack, is now questioning whether he should have been as loyal to Next TV as he was back in the day.
Well, yeah, I think had he stayed at Next TV, which is now Neo, I'm not sure if he'd be too happy with how his car is performing. But I think, yeah, thing is, he when he jumped to Jaguar, he actually had a decent run of form. I think when he joined Jaguar, and in season 4, after like the first four or five races, he was top 5 in the championship and was not far off the lead of the series. But then he had about 6 mechanical problems and dropped to 10th in the championship or something like that in the end. And so he could have been a championship contender in season 4. It's just that there were other things stopping him in his way. So I think that he was right to move because then he still had that competitive angle. But then season 5, he just didn't have that. He actually had a run of bad luck as well in terms of technical problems in season 5. But no, I mean, he is one of the drivers that I do miss from Formula E the most. But I mean, I might have a few biases here and there, but still. But yeah, I'd love to see him back in Formula E at some point, either in a competitive car, because the thing is, I don't think he has lost all his pace. I think there was just too many problems going on around him at the time.
Yeah, so he signed up for Extreme E, so he's part of the drivers' club for Extreme E, so we might see him back there for one of the teams doing that. So he has signed up for that. But what he said is after he won his title, Ed, in season 1, is that he did have offers. He had offers on the table. He said, I can't remember who it was, but he said the only 2 I can really remember was Virgin, which made sense because they had Sam Bird, and Alguersuari was sort of not interested, I don't think, or was more interested in his music career that was up and coming. And so they had Fabio Lima in London, so they needed a driver, so they went for him. And apparently Venturi also went for him as well. But, you know, as he said, that loyalty, he felt, well, this team, you know, got me the championship, you know, worked hard. We're all the same car. This is what he said. We all have the same car, so there's no reason why we can't win a championship. We just need to put it together. And once they did manage to put it together, come Long Beach, basically that was the turning point when the team moved from Team China Racing to become Next TV. That's when it sort of put together, and that's when, you know, the run happened for him winning the championship. So it was interesting that he turned down, you know, the chance to go to Virgin or possibly Venturi. Probably Venturi was probably a good one to avoid, you could say, but, you know, Virgin, you know, that could have been a good move for him.
Yeah, I think it's easy to forget just how much of a career what's the cul-de-sac, really, a career cul-de-sac that Piquet had sort of found himself into, that he, after he left Formula One, he ended up going to, I think, NASCAR or NASCAR trucks, I think, ended up getting into fights and stuff. And so Next TV, or Team China Racing as it was called back then, was really the only team in Formula E that really took a chance on him and sort of believed in him. So you can sort of understand from that point of view why he would show so much loyalty to them after winning the title with them.
Because he did do well. Like, he was the first Brazilian to win a NASCAR race. I think it was on NASCAR, whatever he was in. You know, he won rallycross events for what he was doing once he left Formula One. So he was fairly successful, which was good.
Yeah, it's very versatile.
So, and probably why he adapted so quickly to Formula E when he came there. But then Jack, he was like, team went backwards. Like, you know, he said, we didn't take 1 or 2 steps back Next TV. They took like 5 or 6 steps back. Obviously, they made that double motor, the twin motor system, and the car was extremely slow. It just didn't have any efficiency either. It was overweight. And that's when the frustration comes in for Nelson Piquet Jr. And we're speaking now about Nelson Piquet Jr. coming back into the series. But if we were going to say, where will Nelson Piquet go? He's going to go to a midfield team probably, or a team towards the back that needs to move forward. And straight away, the frustration was there because he's not in a race-winning car. So even though, as much as we'd love to see Nelson Piquet Jr. back, and I'd second that, he'd be frustrated if he had to go to a team in the midfield, because he was frustrated about how quickly the team fell back.
Well, yeah, I think I think if he did come back now, he wouldn't have a guaranteed top spot. And say, one thing that has just popped into my mind, because we've been discussing it a lot over the last couple of weeks, maybe the Scuderia punt, maybe sign up for that and then see how that goes over a season. If it doesn't work out, then well, he gave it a shot. But I think, I think the thing is, we haven't seen the proper Nelson that we saw in season 1. We when the car went, but when the car's there, he is like proper right at the front. He can do anything, as we saw in season 1. And the thing is, he was so efficient with getting his car further in the race to do the car swaps as well. So it's there. It can be done for Nelson. It's just that he needs the car. And yes, I just said that Jaguar season 5. I mean, that was a write-off, and Mitch won the first race that he wasn't there for. But still, I still think that he's still got that pace somewhere. And so, fingers crossed, if he does come back in, then I reckon that he could fight for these top 10 positions like he used to.
He said basically, so I've got it down here. He said basically, Neo or Next TV made so many steps back that even if they made 2 steps forward, right, the rest of the field was still making those steps forward. So, you know, being able to catch up was very difficult. In an interview, though, I still go back to this, and I asked him this question when he moved to Jaguar, and he didn't really give me an answer, but I sort of expected it. But I wanted to hold him accountable for it, because he said, in season 3...
Hold him accountable? What, is he a war criminal?
Well, that's what you do as a journalist.
Yeah. Okay.
So you hold him accountable in terms of, he said to me at Monaco, Neo in season 4, Next TV, we're going to be winning races, we're going to be fighting for podiums. You know, the things that we've done to move forward, Jack, has been, you know, incredible. And then he moves to Jaguar. So then I collared him once he moved to Jaguar. Well, why did you move to Jaguar then? You said to me, Neo, you know, we're going to start winning races, we're going to start moving forward. And he went, well, the only sort of thing that he sort of told me is, well, things change.
Well, yeah, I think I think Jaguar were on the rise. They wanted to get a big name in their thing. I'd actually heard from a source that kind of works down in pit lane on the world feed that Sam Bird was the one that was off to Jaguar about a few days before it was announced that Piquet was off. But yeah, those were those were like the two big names that were going at it for the seat at Jaguar. But yeah, funnily enough, it came up on my recommended the Monaco interview that you did a couple of years ago, where he said that not Jaguar, Neo were going to we're going to fight for podiums season 4, and well, they did. They got Oliver Turvey on a podium in Mexico. But yeah, I think and maybe in an alternate universe that maybe Nelson Piquet Jr. had a decent season there, but the thing is we just don't know, and so yeah, I think Jaguar felt like the right decision at the time, but yeah, who knows what would have been the actual decision?
Because we have to remember, Neo knocked out the front row in season 3 Hong Kong race 1, so him and Turvey front row. Obviously car wasn't as efficient. He moved to Jaguar. I think he just had enough of Neo at that time, and he said that the Jaguar move was an impulse. It probably wasn't the right decision, and if he didn't go to Jaguar, he'd still be in Formula E now. And you could believe him on that. Maybe he might not be. Who knows? It's just hypothetical thinking. But he said the contract that he had with Jaguar was a bit wishy-washy. So I suppose there was an easy get-out clause term for Jaguar or him. Like, the contract wasn't solid, if that makes sense. Like it didn't have to run through a whole set of seasons, if that makes sense. That's what I'm assuming from that. That's because he then left after that race in Mexico. So it was sort of an impulse get out. Jaguar at that time, he said, weren't in the best position. So, it probably, for him on reflecting on that, it was probably not the best decision for him to leave Neo and go to Jaguar.
Maybe. I think it was Sanya was the last one, not Mexico, although he crashed in both, so I don't
know. Oh, yeah, you might be confused.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it's easy to sort of look back in hindsight and say, oh, he might still be in there. I remember Luca Felipe ended up in the seat that Piquet vacated and had a really difficult season, only getting like 1 point in the first race of the season and struggling thereafter. So I'm not sure it's guaranteed that he would have had a better time, especially given how uncompetitive they were. I think he would still have got fed up. And it's interesting because you mentioned the front row lockout at Hong Kong. Quite soon after that, unfortunately, the team principal of Neo, next TV Neo, Martin Leach, unfortunately passed away. And Turvey talked about that in his in the interview with him as a sort of really kind of sad moment where the team sort of really needed cheering up and ended up sort of having to pull together how to get out of that. And it's interesting that sort of Turvey's performances from then on seemed to really improve, whereas Piquet's seemed to tail off a little bit in terms of driving for Neo. So I do wonder if maybe it's something that made Turvey feel more loyal to the team, but maybe for Nelson Piquet Jr., one of the guys who was, running the team when he was winning the World Championship is gone, and maybe that's part of, unfortunately, the reason why he wasn't so keen on staying. And the Jaguar offer came along, maybe the right time for him to be tempted into going for it. And it's a shame in a way that didn't work out because it started off so promisingly too when he got it was like 5th in the championship early in season 4. No, 3rd, wasn't it? It was 3rd.
So for me, the two things that came out of that interview, which I would have liked to, if I was there or if I was doing it, I would have wanted to follow up on, was probably talk about Dr. Martin Leach and see if that had any impact on that decision, because that was what was going on at that time, and why he left Jaguar, because that was sort of left unsaid, basically, because obviously he talked about the wishy-washiness of the contract, but he didn't really explain how he left Jaguar. It was just, you left Jaguar. And
then things change, Jack.
Yeah, I know things change, but why? That's why
things just change. That's all you're going to get from
it. So I want to know basically why, he decided to leave Jaguar. What was the situation that came at that point? Was it, a breakdown? Was it the team? Was it him? That was the only sort of thing when I was watching that, listening to that part of the interview, that I was like, oh, I really want to know, what happened there. But apart from that, it was a great interview by Katie Furman, and really appreciate it. And obviously, it's given us something to talk about in terms of things. But one thing which he did do, which I just want to make a reference to, Jack, is he fueled Oliver Turvey going to Jaguar. And I'm not saying he's saying Oliver Turvey's going to Jaguar. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. Not one bit. But what he said was, and which is what we talked about way at the beginning, like episode 1 or 2 of the FEZ show, was where should Oliver Turvey go? Because he's pitched as the most underrated driver. He's told us a reason why he stayed at Neo for so long, which is the loyalty. And, PK in that interview with Inside Electric basically said, him and Mitch Evans would be a really good pairing at Jaguar. And I thought, that's interesting. He says he's still good friends with Oliver Turvey, so I don't know if he's talking to Oliver Turvey at all. Might not be. But he said he's really good friends with him. But I just thought it was interesting that even Nelson Piquet Jr. is saying, Turvey needs to get out, get into that Jaguar, and actually, do want to actually be one of the best drivers in Formula E, and actually, because he believes he is one of the best drivers in Formula E, Piquet, in terms of Turvey, Jack, and he thinks if he puts him in that Jaguar seat, he'll thrive.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen flashes of brilliance from Oliver Turvey over the years in the Neo. However, he hasn't had a proper car to just get in, drive it, and fit and get that win that eludes him. He's the person who's had the most races without a win in the series. So yeah, I think he will need to be in a different car if Oliver Turvey wants to win a race. However, he did say in his interview to us a few weeks ago that the reason why he is staying with Neo is because he feels loyal to the team. So yeah, and I don't think I don't think Neo will change overnight in terms of their pace. But if he were in that Jaguar instead of James Collado, and with all due respect to James Collado, he is a fantastic driver, but he's only done 5 races. He's still learning. And I think with James Collado, I think that he will learn more and more and more over the rest of the races when they resume, and then possibly into season 7 as well. With Oliver Turvey, you would have got the first race and he would have bam on a top 5, and then more and more like that. Because the thing is, we have seen him do fantastic things with the Neo, especially this year. We saw him get into Super Pole in Santiago, and he also finished in the points in Diriyah until he got disqualified. So with Oliver Turvey, the talent really is there. He is one of the best drivers on the grid, but the equipment there isn't there for him.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And that's from doing that interview with him, because I spoke to him. And I'm not saying the loyalty was running out, but you could tell in his voice a little bit that, how long can you put up with it? And is it the same team? Is it the same team? That's my question now. With obviously the management changes, being with this Shanghai company race team that it is now, is it the same team that he once joined? And, you're being loyal to what now, if that makes sense? It's not the same team. So maybe, we might see Turvey sort of, start looking for a way out, if that makes sense, in the future, Ed.
Yeah, there's still a lot of the same people that worked at Neo, still working at Neo 333, though. I thought it was interesting that PK, who was basically him and Jaguar part of a company, is now basically saying, oh, who Jaguar should hire? They should hire Oliver Turvey, if they sort of hinting at that. And it sort of reminds me of, I don't know, you split with your girlfriend and then you sort of recommending her to your best mate. I don't know, it seems a bit weird to me. But,
well, I suppose he can. I suppose it's probably a bit different to that, but I get your point. But I think Oliver Turvey deserves a car that can fight for race wins, because obviously that's what Mitch Evans is doing, and Turvey deserves that. And I think he's as I said at the beginning of the FEZ show in the first couple of episodes, he will be forgotten. Like if he stays at Neo, he'll just become a one-team man. And if Neo were to go collapse, and someone's taken a chance, let's say Jaguar have taken a chance on James Collado, and he's only done 5-6 races, and they're like, what, we like him, we want to give him another shot. Turvey and other teams might be similar, and therefore he's missed his opportunity, and then he's out of the sport, a bit like Nelson Piquet Jr. is. Nelson Piquet Jr. could probably walk into most Formula E teams.
And James Collado, funny enough, has a very similar kind of background and history to Oliver Turvey. They were both in Racing Stets Foundation. They were both in GP2 and they didn't quite make it to Formula One. Then they both went to World Endurance. So they are kind of similar. Obviously, Ricciardo not got anywhere near the same experience as Turvey, but yeah, I see a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, so obviously it's very interesting. I just thought that was very interesting that Nelson Piquet Jr. Said that. So what I want to move on to now, boys, is And We Go Green. Now, why am I talking about And We Go Green? Well, for one reason, it was aired last night. But did you know? Did you know that it was aired last night? Probably not. I didn't until this morning, because it was aired on French TV, Canal Plus. I think I didn't know that this morning. That's a lie. I knew about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:30 last night that it was aired, but because people who had watched it were talking about it. And I was like, oh my God, it's been aired. But it was aired on French TV, Canal Plus, and it must have also gone over Swiss TV because people in Germany like Tobias, who we've had on the show from eFormula D, he also saw it. He said he saw it on Swiss TV, and it was shown on Canal Plus. But I can't believe, and basically what we're going to talk about is Effie's marketing, basically, because obviously I don't know when it's going to be shown in England. And obviously, there's a huge audience I want to see in England. And once we see that film, we are dissecting it and having a look at it and reminiscing about it. If we get a chance to do this before everything goes back to normal, if it is going to come out in the next couple of weeks in the UK. But maybe if it doesn't come out in the next couple of weeks, we will do a special show where we dissect the film. But I can't believe that it's aired for the first time to the public. And Formula E, Jack, decided, you know what, we ain't going to mention anything about it. No tweet, no marketing, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I can't believe that.
I got a French email about 10 o'clock yesterday morning saying about it, but yeah, so sorry I didn't let you know, but yeah, no, I think it's fantastic that it's been aired. When we had Toby on the show a couple of weeks ago, he said that it's coming soon. I didn't realize it would be this soon. And on French TV, basically exclusively. I'd love it to be over here in the UK next. So Formula E, if you're watching, you know what to do. Yeah, and so stick it on like BBC Red Button where you stick all the Formula E stuff. Anyways, I mean that'd be grand. Or just put it somewhere so like people all around the world can watch it. Give it to the broadcasters who broadcast Formula E, or take it to or just put it on your YouTube and just watch it there.
Yeah, so I was looking at the IMDb, whatever it is that you check for films, and it comes up as a French film. So maybe that's why, I'm not saying that film's in French, but it comes up like French. So it might have been in French. But go on, Jack.
Yeah, well, basically from some screenshots I saw last night, they had some French subtitles up, so I think it's basically people speaking in English.
But obviously they've put French. That's what I saw. So I thought maybe, Ed, that's why, it was aired in France first, because it said like, And We Go Green, and then in brackets it said French. So I was like, all right, makes sense. Maybe that's the deal that they've cut, that they, is going to be shown in France first. And, as I said, I was speaking like, how can I watch it? And they're like, well, you're going to have to find a pirate. And I was like, man,
learn French.
And learn French, yeah, and learn French. But I was like, man, where am I going to find a pirate? It's not like, the old days where you could go down the pub and someone was selling a DVD for 50p of And We Go Green. Like, I was like,
how old are you?
How old am I?
That's a very loaded question, Pico.
Yeah, how old am I? That was happening a lot. Like, that's probably how we got most of our DVDs, to be honest with you, when I was a kid.
Yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where am I going to get a pirate? I can't go down to the pub and buy someone just comes around, hey, you want DVD?
Have you heard of this little thing called the internet, Jack?
Well, the thing is, right, I've looked up, so I did start look, but then you get dodgy websites, right? So I found this dodgy website. I said, you can watch And You Go Green, right? But then I sort of looked up the website. I was like, it's a scam. They could sell all your details to XXX, and you're just like, there's no much point in risking all of that sort of information just
create
to watch
a fake email
Green.
Sorted. Bosh.
Yeah, that's true. You could do that, but if you have to verify, then you're a bit rubbish. But then you have to actually create that email. So I didn't do it. So I'm gonna go legit and wait for it to come out at some point, Ed.
Yeah, I think I'm probably only going to end up doing the same. It aired at Cannes over a year ago, I think. because I remember Piquet Jr. I think just after he was sacked in season 5, still went to the premiere.
Yeah, that was the premiere of the film.
And since we're talking about Piquet Jr. bizarrely in this segment, and yeah, it's a little annoying. I guess Formula E in their Twitter feeds and stuff, etc. It's very English language speaking centric. So maybe that's why they just neglected to mention that it was airing on French TV. But you're right, because it was such a big deal for them when it aired at Cannes. You would think they would still, at least give it a mention somewhere, other than just an email that you have to be subscribed to get as well. Okay.
And that's, we talked about it a couple of days ago in terms of, Formula E, marketing the Race at Home challenge, and, only a couple of tweets about it, and, Daniel App taking the mick out of them for having more viewers on his channel than the actual Formula E Twitch channel. And you think, so he's like, you need to do some more social media, and then you have this, you have your big thing, a huge film made about Formula E, and it airs for the first time on public TV. For me, Formula E is a global brand. It has French fans. We have French drivers. We have a double French champion. And you're not tweeting about it. You're not telling the world, you can watch this tonight, Canal Plus, Formula E, Season 4, and we go green. It should have been plastered. It should have been plastered days ago. It should have been a proper campaign to tell fans that, we're coming, and then to let fans know when they can watch it in their different countries, when it's going to come out. But they didn't do that. And for me, I think that's poor. And, I'm holding FE again accountable, but that's what we've got to do. I was shocked, to find out that their film's aired and they've not done absolutely anything about it. So we'll sort of leave that because we've only got about 5 minutes left, and I want to move on to our final segment, which is YouTube questions. And our YouTube question comes from Bob, actually. And this is something that we've talked about a while ago. And he says, Jack, should Formula E encourage drivers from other categories to race in the Race at Home challenge?
Yes. That's all I need to say. Just yes. I think
that's all, folks.
I think it would be. I think it'd be a fantastic idea. Try and get people involved. They've taken Verstappen over to supercars. Norris has done IndyCar. I mean, just get someone in. I mean, just on the challenge grid, they have so they have the 10 that pre-qualified from the previous race. 8 qualifiers from the week run up, and then they have the final 6 spots reserved for people like Charlie Martin and Alex Lynn, who have done it the last few weeks, and then also some few other people. I think Mike Channel was one of them as well. Still don't know who he is. But maybe just like entice some people over just to do it. And the thing is, if you get a Norris or Verstappen in who knows the game, then they're not going to be eliminated in the first 50 seconds. So they will go a lot further into the race, and who knows, they might even automatically qualify for the next one as well.
So, Jack, what I was thinking was actually what we were discussing a few days ago in terms of you put the Formula E drivers in the actual driver race, or the other category drivers, sorry. So you'd put the Lando Norris, your Max Verstappen's, your IndyCar driver, your wet driver, your whoever, in that category and add like an extra spot or two, because at the same time you want to see them race against racing drivers, because they are racing drivers, Ed. You don't want them racing against sim racers, and you want to see how far they can do, and maybe add a car or two and create a buzz and market it, which again, going back to the marketing question, Ed, Formula haven't really done.
No, it's a little bit of a shame, and I think Daniel App was right to call them out in terms of I'm doing all the work and you guys are just sort of not getting anything out of it. And he's sort of showing what they could do if they put a bit more. I don't want to say effort, because I don't want to be unkind, but I think maybe if they marketed a bit more effectively and better. I think that's if I was going to be constructive, that's what I would say. And I think part of that also getting a big someone like a Lando Norris or a big streamer from outside of the world of Formula E would be a good idea. I think the only way, if the format they've got at the moment, the only way they could fit them in is in the challenge race. So I can't see any of the Formula E drivers standing aside, unless Sam Bird's connection craps out again, but he seems to have got that sorted.
But the thing is, they can add more cars. So for me, if they put Lando Norris, let's say Lando Norris, for example, Lando Norris came, or let's say the drivers, the legends that are in the race, in the race challenge. That's the one I was going to say, the race trophy, whatever it's called. If they put them in the challenge race, I'd be like, what on earth are you doing? I don't want to see Jan Magnussen, Emmanuel Pirro, even Dario Franchitti, like, stop him from commentating and put him in the race.
Do both. I'm sure Dario can do it.
Do both, right? Put him in the race. Put him in the race with the drivers. I don't want to see him go up against sim racers. I'm not interested in that. I want to see him go up against Jean-Eric Vergne. So for me, like, and you only have to do is add 2 cars. You can just use the default Formula E Gen 2 card, so they don't actually have to race.
It might mess with the elimination format, so only problem there. But then
who cares? You've got a Formula 1 driver racing in the thing. You've got some legends who's racing in the thing. This is why the elimination format has come to the criticism that it has come, because it makes you so limited. You can't just add and have as many drivers as you want in the race, or have special guests, because you're messing with the format. I think Formula E really, again, on a marketing thing, missed a massive opportunity to really skyrocket the championship and really move the thing forward in terms of publicity. But they decided not to do that. But boys, we're coming to the end of the 25th show of the FEZ show. Thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you,
Jack.
Remember, if you're liking the content, you can hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. Remember the Discord link below. Hit that. Come talk to us about Formula E. If you disagree about something we said or agree with something we said, let us know. We're more than interested to talk to you. We absolutely love the community that's there. Everyone's great. So come along and join. We will see you tomorrow for another edition of the FEZ show. Goodbye.